Hello and thanks very much for joining us. Michael Nath, the Controller General, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, Vincent Esebe, has said the country is expected to earn about $3 billion annually from hibiscus exports to Mexico. Both NAQS and its Mexican counterpart body, Senasica, signed a phytosanitary protocol in November to stabilize and grow the export of Nigerian hibiscus flowers, Zobo, to Mexico. Speaking at the 4th CG's Summit and Management Retreat in Abuja, Isebe noted that the framework was designed to future-proof bilateral trade in hibiscus between Nigeria and the largest importer of Nigerian hibiscus against avoidable disruptions. It described hibiscus as a metaphor for the countless high-value exportable agro-commodities Nigeria underutilizes and takes for granted. Isebe pointed out that agro-export intensification will boost the country's overall agricultural productivity, generate sustainable wealth, and improve household incomes among the large swathe of the 70% population that's engaged in agriculture and agro-allied industries. Now, the National Pension Commission has released a list of 34 mortgage lenders to commence the implementation of the mortgage scheme. This was disclosed during a seminar by the Pension Funds Operators Association of Nigeria in Lagos. It had earlier released guidelines in line with the provisions of Section 89, subsection 2 of the Pension Reform Act, PRA 2014. The guidelines allow RSA holders to utilize part of their retirement savings as equity contributions to secure residential mortgages. PENCOM, under its mortgage guidelines, stated that the names of mortgage lenders that meet the eligibility criteria of guidelines will be published on the Commission's website on a biannual basis or when any new license is issued by the CBN. At the event, PENCOM and PENOP highlighted the requirements for retirement savings account holders to access their equity contributions for the acquisition of residential mortgages. While presenting the theme paper, the head of investment department, PENCOM, Ibrahim Kagiwa, said for a contributor under the contributory pension scheme to be eligible to use his RSA balance for acquisition of residential mortgages, he must have contributed for 5 years, that's 60 months, cumulative an employer and the employees' mandatory contributions. Now, the headline PMI rose to 54.3 in November from 53.6 in October, pointing to a solid monthly improvement in business conditions in the Nigerian private sector. Business conditions continued to improve markedly in the Nigerian private sector during November amid improving demand and higher custom numbers, according to the Stanbic IBTC Purchasing Manager Index. Sharing his thoughts on the report, business analyst Dr. Olushola Olowoyeye averred that the growth in PMI is proof that the Nigerian economy was recovering from the COVID-19 induced lockdown. He also highlighted some of the initiatives adopted by businesses to cushion the effect of global economic headwinds.
Like I mentioned earlier, this is a consolidation period. COVID-19, leading us into a lockdown in 2020, made quite a lot of organizations to take quite a lot of decisions, which has made them reduce their number of staff, reduce their level of production. But since the economy started picking up, and we also have the Russian crisis coming up, Russia-Ukraine issue coming up, and so this has made a lot of organizations to rethink and look at a better way to be able to drive their operations and drive their business. And this has led them to be able to take a lot of decisions that is really bringing about positive moves on their actions now. Quite a lot of organizations who have thought of working from home remotely and also think of doing things in a way that technology has driven them to be able to even look at new opportunities, diversification, and this is making organizations to take informed decision looking at the future in a more positive way than it was during the time of 2019-2020 when we experienced the heat of the lockdown. So from 2021, the hope started, increasing, and here we are in 2022. We can see that the 2023, I'm sure immediately after the election, you should be seeing a much more better, indicators than what we are currently experiencing now.
The Debt Management Office has disclosed that Nigeria's public debt reached 44.6 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2022. The amount represents a 2.9% quarter-on-quarter decrease from the 42.84 trillion naira recorded in the second quarter of 2022. The DMO, in a statement on its website, noted that the increase in public debt was due to new borrowings by the federal government to part finance the deficit in the 2022 Appropriation Act, as well as new borrowings by subnationals. DMO said that the total public debt stock comprises domestic debt of 26.92 trillion naira and external debt of 17.5 trillion naira. Data from the DMO's External and Domestic Debt Service also show that the country spent 1.17 trillion naira on debt in third quarter of 2022. This comprises 820.59 billion naira for domestic debt service and 356.92 billion naira for external debt service. Nigerians have continued to express their feelings over the latest central bank limiting of the counter cash withdrawals by individuals and corporate entities to not exceed 100,000 naira and 500,000 naira respectively per week. While some have taken to social media to lament, others are still pondering over the potential impact of the policy on the livelihood. The central bank claims the policy is aimed at driving financial inclusion in the country while also lowering the cost of handling cash. It also part of a broader strategy of leveraging technology to manage money supply in the country. Earlier on our breakfast show, iBrand Daybreak, Mazi Chinedum Obioha shared his view on this.
It's targeted, one, to the politicians who want to use money stored to buy votes. It's targeted against the kidnappers, the criminals. It's targeted against money laundering. And I think if there's a way they can reduce this, when a person is kidnapped, it's asked to bring millions of naira. And before you know it, it's made available. My question is this. I've asked this question. You and Bola have not been able to give me. How do they go to the bank and withdraw 50 million or 100 million? How do they raise the money? Where do they deposit it? Who goes there to collect it? Then some people have piled out money for this election. They use it to buy votes. They use ridiculously. How can you checkmate those things? How can you reduce the cost of inflation? How can you reduce the rate people spend money ridiculously?
You think this will reduce that?
I think it will bring it to a level that will be under control. But then primarily, they are not targeting the poor masses. Though the poor masses might suffer it, they are targeting the politicians. Don't forget that the president came out boldly said, if you think there will be manipulation in this election, he said you better think twice. The era of using money to buy votes is gone. Let us see the workability. Let us give them chance before we begin to complain. And I want to rest assure you, I'm a banker by training.
Yeah.
They are targeting this election.
Yes.
After this election, there might be a review. There might be a rethink.